Hi, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Plymouth. I am your host and your Town Manager, Derek Brindisi. In this week's episode, we will talk to Sue Giovanetti, who is the director of the Plymouth Coalition for Homeless, right? Plymouth Area Coalition?
Plymouth Area Coalition
Plymouth
for
Area
the
Coalition for the Homeless.
Correct.
Sue, thank you for coming on. We
Our
appreciate
pleasure,
it.
definitely.
And I know you guys had a lot going on. We'll talk a little towards the end of today's show. We'll talk about the construction project that I had the opportunity with the chairman, Dickie Quintal, to visit, and our communications coordinator, Casey Kennedy. But before we get into the current status of the project and where your vision is for that project, I wanted to talk a lot about the coalition and the work that you guys have been doing for the past many decades. 'Cause the folks that are listening at home, may or may not have heard of the coalition. So, can you talk a little bit about the coalition, how long you've been around for, the mission of the coalition, some of the work that you've been doing?
Sure. Coalition started 40 years ago. This is our 40th anniversary, actually. And it started as a grassroots effort when area families, local families, realized that there were individuals and families living in the state forest and in cars, and they became aware of homelessness at a family level. At that point, they mobilized with a lot of community support, and over the years have developed into a multifaceted program that serves homeless families and individuals and families that need basic needs support. So in addition to having homeless shelters, we also have a food pantry that serves 22 communities across the South Shore, located in Kingston. And we run the Children's Holiday Program, which again serves thousands of children and their families each year. We have a Voice in the Night, which is a 24-hour referral for services, always answered by a live individual. It's not a recording. So the food pantry, we have the FAIR program, which provides clothing and household items to families that are referred to us, or families that we have in shelter that are then moving on to their permanent home.
Now, it's called the Plymouth area. So what is your service area? What does that encapsulate?
So we serve basically as far up as Hull and down to Wareham, over to the Bridgewaters. This is 22 communities that are in our catchment area.
Yep.
And again, then we're referring people out all the time. It's not unusual for us to get calls from Brockton or Quincy.
Now, you talked about the shelter system. How many shelters does the coalition manage and operate?
Right. So in 1994, the Plymouth Area Coalition opened up a shelter on Route 80, and that shelter houses 13 families. And always full. Family moves out in the morning, we would receive a new family in the evening. Over the years, it became very evident that we needed more space, and the state's demand for shelter space for families was really excessive. So we'd been searching for a long time. And then, fast forward to October of 22, we were asked by the Commonwealth to take on the management of the Baymont Hotel. So currently, we have a contract with the state to provide shelter and case management services for 109 families.
That's 109 families at the Baymont Hotel, which is in Kingston, right?
So it's 96 families at the Baymont.
Gotcha.
And then the 13 at Route 80. So, and then in the fall, late fall, we anticipate our new shelter to be open in Plymouth, and that would have 26 families.
26 families.
Right.
Now, that project that you just referenced is a project that I had mentioned earlier that the chairman and I had an opportunity to visit. And can you talk about that project? So you said it's 26 families. Now, and the other question before we go to that, your organization focuses mostly on families?
Correct.
Only families?
And when it involves sheltering, it's only families.
Gotcha.
Our other programs support individuals as well, but shelter is just what's considered EA shelter or emergency assistance shelter. And those homeless families are placed by the Commonwealth with different agencies who operate shelters.
And this is a right to shelter state.
Correct. Correct.
And I know I learned a lot about what that means. I believe Massachusetts and New York are the only two right to shelter states in the U.S., I believe.
So as a right to shelter state, which was declared under the Dukakis administration, I believe in 1982, basically what it says is that no child should live without a roof over their head. So by default, if they're provided shelter, their guardian or parent are with them. So that was where the EA shelter system began. So, it's a great program, and I think that what the larger public should understand is that it is a program. There are expectations, there are agreements signed that when a family goes into shelter, they save 30% of their income. If they don't have a job, they're looking for a job. They attend classes. They have chores. They're on a rotating basis, but they have chores, and there's guidelines. There's curfews, and it's not just you get to live there free.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I think depending on where you're from, so as you know, I was born and raised in City Worcester. I worked for the city health department for 15 years, and was really engaged in the conversations around homelessness in that community. And they had plans to end homelessness. They had multiple plans to end homelessness, and I don't think that's possible personally. That we can end it, but there's a lot of work we can do to support those folks that need services. Try to find them permanent housing. Try to find them some type of employment opportunities, and give them the wraparound services that they desperately need. What are your thoughts on what's happening here locally in Plymouth around homelessness? You've been at this for a while now. Are you starting to see a trend in any different direction with our homeless population?
So the thing that I think is very evident is just that we're sitting here today speaking about it.
Sure.
Absolutely no question that the world is much more comfortable speaking about homelessness, about the needs of the less fortunate people in our community, and that we all share a responsibility to somehow be able to address and support those individuals who have needs, whether it be food or shelter. We're much more comfortable speaking about it. We're recognizing that it's everyone's problem to try to solve. So I feel really good about it. I think that Plymouth has always been very responsive when it comes to community need. But I think, I think we're headed in the right direction.
Good.
I do believe that. I think certainly the task force for homeless is addressing the needs of the individual homeless that we have in the community, and with the support of Father Bills, they're going to be able to keep moving forward in those efforts.
That's a really good point, Sue, because as you know, I believe it was fall of 2023. I'm losing track of my dates here. The select board voted. I had proposed a reorganization to them, and they voted to support the reorganization, and that was the creation of the Health and Human Services Department. So, when we looked at, when we did the analysis of the services that the town operates, we have multiple departments focused on public safety, fire and police, EMS, right? Their mission is public safety. We have other departments like Public Works that's focused on infrastructure. But at the time, up until 2023, we didn't have a department that's focused on people. And that was really the genesis around creating the Health and Human Services Department. It's led by Commissioner Michelle Brady, who you work very closely with. And not that the Health and Human Services Department will ever be a service provider, because that's not what we do. But we want to work with the service providers in our community and leverage resources and see how we can support those organizations like Father Bills, like your coalition, and others, so that we can help be part of that process to make substantial improvement on the lives of the folks that live in our community. And so I do know that Commissioner Brady, well, one of her top goals is to work with all the nonprofit service providers in our community to try to weave all that together. And so have you had the opportunity to engage in those types of conversations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've gotten together with Michelle Brady has brought together the different groups, and we've had conversations. I think that, again, we're moving in the right direction. We're having those conversations. You don't want to be siloed, right? We know the direction we need to go in, and I think we're headed that way.
Well, and town government wants to be a part of that. So I can't speak to, prior to my arrival in 2022, but we have forged some relationships already with BAMSI, for example, and in the hospital, and relationships that I don't think were, maybe there were conversations in the past, but we're really focused on building partnerships today. The Health and Human Service Department this spring is going to launch their first ever community health assessment. And so they're going to be imploring organizations like yours to be a part of that conversation so we can identify what are our most pressing needs in this community. And I'm sure issues like homelessness, substance abuse, healthy eating and active living, those are all we all know that rise to the top. And so the question then becomes, how can we work together on moving the needle on all those different issues?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's conversations.
Right.
And it's being free and open about those sometimes difficult conversations. No one wants to, we never thought we'd be where we are today 3 years ago, but the world turned upside down, and it did. And everybody stepped up and helped to, what I believe is really come together as a community to not only support families that are experiencing homelessness or food insecurity, but finding solutions. And that's, together we can all make a difference.
Absolutely.
So we're seeing great success housing families, tremendous success housing families. Between now and today and May 1st, we'll have 9 families moving out. I had 3 families move out over the weekend.
And when they move out, they're moving to a more permanent housing center,
yes,
correct?
Correct.
So those are all success stories.
Oh, success stories every day.
Right.
But to see these families who have really been against great odds move on to permanent housing is tremendous. And the reason I brought that up was because we have landlords and different developers that are very willing to work with us and work with our families to help identify the housing arrangement that will suit a family best.
Right.
And it wouldn't happen without the business community and the landlords.
So you must be very proud when you see a family move out. You may miss them, right?
Great.
Because I'm sure you build relationships. My daughter's a second grade school teacher in Worcester, and she talks about the families and the parents and the kids, and she builds these personal relationships with them, but she's excited to see them graduate and move on to the next grade. So to me, that's like, once you build these relationships with these families, although it's sad to see them leave, they're moving on to something more permanent. You can see they're taking the next step to like a self-sustainability, if you will.
Absolutely. And that's sustainability is exactly what we speak about all the time. And when a family moves on to their own permanent housing, we don't stop working with them. They work with us for 2 more years. Mm-hmm. And we have separate staff that will continue to keep in touch with them, with their landlord, if that's the situation, make sure that the kids are enrolled in school, that work's going okay. We're just making sure that everything's in place so that they will continue on and become stronger as a family unit.
Still a lot of case management.
Absolutely.
You know what's interesting though, because the phone calls I get in my position as town manager are, when it comes to homelessness, is that person on the park bench, right? Yeah. And what can we do? And so we always try to find those organizations that can provide assistance. But the story that's not told that often, or it's not widely distributed, are the success stories. For you just said 9 families were in the last couple of days have moved out or plan to be moving out, but nobody ever hears about the success stories. The only thing they think about is the person sitting on that park bench. What can we do as a community to to normalize some of this so people are more empathetic and they can help assist in helping people get to that next level of self-sustainability?
Yeah. So I think a lot of different groups are trying to reach out and be supportive. It's no secret we've had a surge in the number of families that we've been supporting. We have some different, in particular, faith communities, but there's been the Democratic Town Committee in Kingston reached out, and they were a big supporter. They're putting together laundry baskets filled with kitchen utensils and dishes, and so when a family moves out, there's a gift from the community.
Right. That's great.
That and so we've had several families that have been able to leave with these care packages, so to speak. And same with furniture. When we can line it up, we run out of space. We're pretty cramped for space right now, but when we can make it work, we have families, people that will call and say, just last week, someone called and they had 2 couches. They were getting new couches delivered. They had 2 couches. I had 2 families last Monday and Tuesday Tuesday and Wednesday that were moving out into their own place.
Wow.
So
great.
we were able to line it up and it worked. So we always have our ear to the ground for those opportunities to help families. But I think the community is starting to recognize that they can assist these families. And I know that in the schools have been terrific. We've had great relationships with the principals, and we don't get down to the teachers as much, but we really, several years ago, I named a education coordinator at the coalition, just to really make sure that the kids were in the right schools and they were getting any extra supports they may need. We work closely with School on Wheels and have for several years, so that we have tutoring and mentoring for the kids. Those pieces, and our education program is the backbone of everything we do at the coalition, because, well, in our education room on Route 80, I have a big sign that says empowerment, but with the accent on the ME. Like,
Right. Yeah,
because
right. Yeah.
once education empowers you, and
Sure.
when you feel better about yourself, you stand taller, you walk into a job interview a little bit better and more
Yeah,
confident, and you move forward, and people believe in you, and you believe in yourself.
Well, like I said, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
It's so true. So I've had a couple teasers throughout our first 20 minutes or so about this new shelter. It's going to be on, is it Industrial Park Road? What road is it?
54 Industrial Park
54
Road.
Industrial Park Road. Again, I've had the opportunity to take a look at it. It's coming out amazing.
Yes.
Hopefully we can share some of these images on the show so folks can see what you're talking about. So can you give us all a rundown of what's happening over at the new shelter, 26 family shelter?
Sure. So 26 units, it will, in addition to the 26 units for the homeless families, we'll have an education room, large congregate kitchen, dining area, childcare area, bearing in mind all the time that our goal is that we're supporting families who are homeless, but the idea is that it's a shortened length of time. This is a time to regroup, strengthen up, overcome the obstacles. Then we want it to be brief and non-reoccurring.
Sure.
So we want to send you on your way. So it's not built like a hotel, or it's not built for luxury by any means, but it's built and has all the we'll have all the services available to support these families and the children while they're with us. So the time in shelter now in the Commonwealth is 6 months. So that means that there's aggressive case management, rehousing, counseling.
Wow.
The education program will always be there, but we're really working hard to move people out. So the way the shelter on Industrial Park Road will it's a very stately building. It's the former executive office building for Bartlett Nuclear. It has 4 floors. The lower floor will be education, kitchen, laundry room. What from the street level looks like the first floor. The second floor for us will have family units. It'll have a main desk, childcare, some meeting rooms, staff, kitchen, nurse. We won't have a nurse on site, but we have the ability to house meds for program participants. So those are all in a separate room. And then the top 2 floors, same thing, units. Each unit will have 2 sets of bunk beds, couple of bureaus, nightstand, and we'll be able to accommodate a toddler bed or crib. So we're built and designed to do that appropriately, so everyone has space.
And you've totally got the inside. I mean, you look at the building from the outside; it is a beautiful building. It's a brick building all the way wrapped all the way around. But when you go inside, you guys basically gutted it so that could build it to your exact needs. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, we did. We did add an outside stair tower. That was necessary to do. But I mean, we put in an elevator. It will be ADA compatible. That's something that's certainly very important to us, and Route 80 is ADA compatible as well. It has new heating, cooling, HVAC system. The transformer was delivered last week by Eversource, so that's all set in place. The generator is due any day now. The pads have all been poured for the generator, and I try to think dumpster pad, those kind of things are outside.
So you're getting close.
The framing is really, I think it's like 90% done. We're really, I was there earlier today, and we are looking very good.
What was the total construction cost? Because I know you received about $3 million through the Community Preservation Act, right?
$3 million. $3 million.
But I assume you received other grants from the state and thereafter.
Yeah, and so the total project will be about 7.8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Significant.
So it was a good, strong building. We had been looking for 6 years to identify a property that checked all the boxes. The industrial park, 54 Industrial Park, right on the GATRA line. It's close to state offices, to Boys and Girls Club, to medical offices. It just lots of job opportunities. So it checked a lot of boxes for us, and it was worth the wait. Certainly, we're thrilled with the way it came out. Acela Construction is our general contractor. They've been doing great work. Locally, we have R Square architects that did the design work on the project, and they continued. As I said, I meet with them every Wednesday, but we were over there today, and we just have an awesome team working on the project, and it really, we're meeting our schedule. It looks like the very end of November is when we'll complete construction, possibly the first week of December. So that's very good news.
So you track into hopefully do a ribbon cutting, the end of this calendar year, somewhere in then November to December. I'm sure there's a long list of families that are in need that can move right in. When would you expect to start moving families in?
Well, I mean, as you know, it takes the final inspections and permitting to then take occupancy. I'm going to guess it would be January at the early. That would be my guess. Right now, we had all of our lumber purchased ahead of any concerns for shortage. So that was a blessing. And we're right now, things are really we've only experienced one tariff. And we had received 8% increase on something. So
you guys feel like you've hit the sweet spot. Yeah, you got everything going. I mean, which doesn't typically happen on construction projects. And I do know that as we near the end of this segment, the Community Preservation Coalition, which is out of Boston, there's about over 100 community preservation communities, Plymouth being one of them. They're paying very close attention to this project. They want it to be a model for homeless projects moving forward, using CPC dollars for homeless projects moving forward. They've never seen anything like this. That's what they told us, and they couldn't even give us any real advice on this. So they're paying very close attention to it, and very excited to see what this amounts to be, because it could be used as a best practice throughout the Commonwealth.
Yeah,
so
it's been a very exciting few years as we've gone through committees and whatnot, and tremendously grateful for the CPC money to be able to really bring it to fruition. We have funding, as you said, from the state. And again, I really believe that the contractors, everybody that we're working with, they're very committed to seeing this happen as well. And we're very excited. It's taken a lot of research, a lot of hard work, and a lot of comments where people don't necessarily understand the work we're doing. And we just want to build a stronger community and help everyone, put everybody on a level playing field as much as possible.
And we'll get there by working in partnership. So Sue, thank you for coming on today. I will say congratulations so far. We're looking forward to the ribbon cutting. I do know that we are going to continue to follow this project through the summer months and then through the fall, so that folks at home can watch what's going on, and then looking forward to the ribbon cutting at the end of this calendar year. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. So that's the end of today's segment. We look forward to seeing you at future shows. But for now, I am your town manager, Derek Brindisi. Thank you very much for joining us.